Hi, it's Kiffin Lobates here, and today's video is about the testing and the auditing of smart contracts. And so to begin with, it's probably worth having a quick look at what the difference between testing and auditing is. Now, in conventional finance and conventional software development, auditing is pretty well defined. You have a list of regulations and compliance requirements, and an audit will check that those are met. Maybe if it's a big project, there will be spot checks. If it's a smaller project, then every single item will be checked. So if you look at something like ISO 9000, there's a clear description as to what an ISO 9000 audit will look like. So the problem that smart contracts face is that we haven't yet reached a level of maturity where you can provide such a clear checklist that must be met for a smart contract to pass an audit. And so a lot of smart contract auditing actually looks very much like smart contract testing, the only difference being that an audit typically takes place over a short defined period of time, whereas smart contract testing should take place over the entire life cycle of the software development process for the smart contract. So with that out the way, I think I can move on to talking about the two basic kinds of audits that I've seen. Well, actually there's three, so we'll cover the worst one first, which is a bunch of fly-by-nights who are just trying to make profit off a new industry where the project leaders may not be fully aware what it is that they're getting for their money. They're just looking to tick a checkbox, and a company's managed to build up a reputation and so can be a bit lax in how it conducts its audits. But of the two valid kinds of audits, one is where an auditing company has a clearly defined list of vulnerabilities, known vulnerabilities in smart contracts, and hopefully some automated tools, and they run through the checklist just to make sure that the contract they are examining does not have any of these known vulnerabilities. So that's kind of the mechanical auditing of a smart contract. And the second kind of audit is where you have one or more skilled auditors who actually go and dig into the code base and look for unexpected flaws. They're not guaranteed to find everything, of course, but at least they'll have a bigger picture as to what might be issues at some point in the future. And then, well, I've actually covered the third one, which is where they're just pretending to audit, but actually they're just looking to take money off the project leaders. So the thing about the second type of audit, the one where you have a couple or more of skilled auditors digging in deeper, is that they're not just going to be looking at the code, they're going to be looking at the processes of the team involved in producing that code to get some kind of assessment as to the thoroughness and reliability of the group of developers or the contracting company or the software development company that have produced that smart contract code. And this is where all the fun begins, because I've performed a number of testing / auditing activities on various contracts, and there are a number of things on my checklist that I start with, and it is surprising how often they are failed. So I'll go through them in turn, just off the top of my head. What do I do when I am first faced with a repository with some smart contract code? And the first thing I look for is linting. So linting is the automated analysis of code to ensure that it is formatted in a standard way. And there are linters for every major programming language out there, including Solidity. They run very, very quickly, and they are totally free. So there is no reason not to lint your code. And any senior developer will know why formatting code is important. And the answer is, if people are going to look at the code and it's formatted in a non-standard way, then developers who are looking at the code are going to be wasting brain power to translate what they're seeing on the screen in front of them into something that they're more familiar with. Whereas if everybody is working on code formatted in the same way, then it is it removes a bit of friction in the understanding of the code. You can think of linting like being the equivalent of having a grammar checker in writing in the English language. So the absence of a linting process in the repository is the first red flag. It shows that the development company may be a bit sloppy. The second one is code coverage. If you're writing a smart contract that could potentially be handling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of assets, then you should be making sure that every single line of code is exercised through your tests. That should be the bare minimum. A properly tested smart contract project should go beyond that and also be looking at edge cases and full end-to-end processes. So the second thing I do is run a coverage test using the existing test cases to see if I get the number 100. And if it's not 100%, if there's a few lines here and there that are missed out, then there had better be a damn good explanation as to why there isn't a test to cover them. Now, I have to say that this applies to smart contracts that are going to be put into production. There are, of course, different rules if it's a proof of concept or a demo, because there the purpose is not to end up holding hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crypto assets. There the purpose may be to have something to show investors in order to raise funds. And there it is understandable that speed and being able to show features quickly may be more important than ensuring that you've got 100% test coverage. But we're talking about production smart contracts here. A production smart contract must have 100% coverage or a justification for the fact that it's only at 99.8. Anything less fails to meet the bare minimum. So again, if you go to a project and you find that it only has 40% code coverage, that is a massive red flag that this is not a protocol to be trusted at the moment. And I personally would not put a single penny's worth of a cryptocurrency into a smart contract that had that kind of coverage if I can find out about it. So that's point 2. Point 3 is the use of continuous integration. So your code changes should not be able to be checked into the main repository until you've passed a set of automated tests, which will include linting that I talked about in point 1, and will include running the test suite, which I talked about in point 2. If this isn't being done automatically and people can just add code to the main repository willy-nilly, again, that is a strong indicator that the development team are a bit lax on the processes, and you just cannot afford to be that shoddy if you're dealing with a DeFi protocol or some other kind of smart contract project that, as I've said several times, could be holding hundreds of millions worth of dollars in the future. So those to me are the first initial 3 checks. They can be conducted very, very quickly. It is remarkable the number of development teams that fail to meet at least one, if not all 3 of those when you look at it. And, you know, it's an indicator of the immaturity of this space that it is so common that teams fail to meet even those 3 basic standards. Then the fourth thing falls more in the soft skills arena of things, which is I look at how the team responds when I raise issues with them. Do they look at them, take them seriously, discuss them earnestly, and work out how they're going to handle them? Or do they get defensive or dismissive or even aggressive? And if it's one of those last 3 reactions, that is a 4th red flag, because it strongly suggests that they are incapable of taking criticism from an outside party. And that means that they are going to make mistakes because they're not going to listen and learn. So I'm not going to go into further depth as to how auditing works, because this video has already been going on for quite a long time. But I think that gives you an indication of the initial kind of things that a software audit of a smart contract project might involve at the very start, and also a bit of a taste as to why there are so many bad protocols out there, because a lot of these points are being missed by these teams. I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you all in the next video soon. Bye for now.